Eshmer al Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Shabbat, God watches over me. It is an oath, sign between me and between the one above. Ki eshmer Shabbat, el yishmereni. Ki eshmer Shabbat, el yishmereni. As we enter Shabbat together, we take this moment of pause just to breathe out all of the stresses and the strains of the week, to breathe in the peace, the joy of Shabbat, this day of rest, this day of recentering ourselves, this day of re-ensoulment. And we bring light to Shabbat, an extra light on Shabbat, with the blessings of the Shabbat light. It's my pleasure to call upon Ruth to lead us in kindling the lights.
We read responsively on the bottom of page 21. To light candles in all the worlds, that is Shabbat.
To light Shabbat candles is a soul leap pregnant with potential into a splendid sea, in it the mystery of the fire of sunset.
Lighting the candles transforms my room into a river of light. My heart sets in an emerald waterfall. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'havli ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. La la bottom of page 25, the words of Psalm 98. Sing a new song to Adonai. Sing to Adonai,
all the earth.
Let the earth ring out in song to God.
Sing to Adonai a new song.
Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice.
Let the sea roar and all that fills it.
Let the field exult and all its creatures.
Let the trees of the forest sing for joy.
Sing to Adonai all the earth.
Sing to Adonai a new song.
Let the rivers clap hands.
Let the mountains sing for joy.
Sing to Adonai all the earth.
Break forth, sing aloud, shout praise.
We turn to the words of the Chadodi as we welcome Shabbat, page 29. Ya la 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 el Chadodi, ya la 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 el Krakala, ya la 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 el Bnei Shabbat, Bnei Shabbat Nikal, ya la 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 el Chadodi. Ya la 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 el Krakala, ya la 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 el Bnei Shabbat, Bnei Shabbat Nikal. On page 34, Larry, could you lead us in How Can I Sing?
How can I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them?
How can I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who decreed them?
How can I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them?
How can I sing of seas and deserts when it is God who begot them?
And how can I sing of earth and its fullness when it is God who made them be?
I shall sing to God who fashioned all and is beyond all. It is to God I shall sing. Together we rise physically or spiritually for the words of Baruch Hu. We continue in the words of Ma'ariv Aravim in the English. At the bottom of page 37, Rita, would you lead us in reading that?
God of all the worlds, how insignificant we are in your sight and how minute in your presence. You are creator of the universe so vast that the effort to conceive it overwhelms the mind. Our mightiest telescopes scan but a corner of it. The rays of light that reach us from distant galaxies began their journey long before we came to be. Counted from first creation, the earth we live on was born but yesterday, and we made our appearance on it only a moment ago.
When we consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what is humanity that you are mindful of us? What are we mortals that you consider us? Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. We praise you, Eternal One, you who love us, your people Israel. As together we rise for the words of Shema and Ve'ahavta, opening our ears to hear those words and letting them fall into our hearts that we may do all of the mitzvot. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch She'irot She'kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch She'irot She'kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'ayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shirantam levanecha v'divartam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shavtecha u'necha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'ayu totavot ein einecha u'chatam al mezuzot beitecha u'misharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני Elohim Emet. Please be seated. Diane, could you lead us at the bottom of page 42 in reading that? My arms reach for the sky, and I want to sing this song rising inside me. This song still unformed, how can I sing? To take the first step, to sing a new song, to close one's eyes and dive into unknown waters. For a moment, knowing nothing, risking all, but then to discover the waters are friendly, the ground is firm, and the song rises again. Page 44, as we sing this same song that our ancestors sang at the shore of Freedom Sea.
Come
as you redeemed Israel and saved us from arms stronger than our own. So may you redeem all those who are still oppressed and persecuted. Baruch atah Adonai Ba'al Yisrael. We praise you, Eternal One, Redeemer of Israel. As the night grows darker, we sing these words of the night prayer, the Hashkivenu. Cause us to lie down in peace, O God, and help us arise in the morning to life renewed. Chatzi Kaddish on page 49 leads us into the next section of our service. Yitgadol, Yitkadash Shmeirah. Be'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh. L'chai yechonu v'yomechu. U'chayei yecholik Yisrael. V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmeir k'risha leila min kol birchata v'shir ha'ata tush b'chata v'nechem v'ata daviram v'yama v'yimeru. Adonai, Shabbat, Somech Novlim, Rof Echolim, Umatir Asurim, Unkarim Natol, Lishenei Afar, Mirkamol Chabal Geburo, Ulido Melach, Melech Mitum Chayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'nei Manatachal Yachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like the softness of moonlight, illumines the darkness in which we walk.
Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed.
And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai, Hayel HaKadosh. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Page 55, reading Gimel. Where is this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of void? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. And now Shabbat has come. Can it help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time? Can it contain the retreat of the hours and the days from the grasp of a frantic life? When all days abandon me, Shabbat, abide. Let me learn to pause
About me for this day, and let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide.
the words of the Avodah prayer, asking that God find our prayers and accept them. The words of Ritzeh. Ritzeh Adonai Elohim, ve'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilata, ve'ahava tikvareh, baruch atah, Adonai, המחזיר שכיבתו לציון, שפוך רוחך עלינו, ותחזינה עינינו, בשובך לציון, ברחמים. ברוך אתה Adonai, המחזיר שכיבתו לציון, המחזיר שכיבתו לציון. And we give thanks as well on page 60 in the words of Modim. We gratefully acknowledge, eternal God, that you are our creator and preserver, the rock of our life and our protecting shield. We give thanks to you for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which are in your keeping, for your wondrous providence and your continuous goodness which you bestow upon us day by day. Truly, your mercies never fail, and your love and kindness never cease. Therefore, do we put our trust in you. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm and praise your name in truth. Eternal God, whose name is goodness, we give you thanks and praise. Page 63, Shalom Rav. Shalom al Yisrael tasim le'olam. Shalom al Yisrael tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. Shalom al Yisrael tasim le'olam. Shalom al Yisrael tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom al Yisrael tasim le'olam. Shalom al Yisrael tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. We take a few moments to pray the words of our own hearts. Oh, say shalom, shalom, Bibrama, Huya, say shalom aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Ve'akol Me'adam. Oh, say shalom, shalom, Bibrama, Huya, say shalom aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Ve'akol Bnei Adam. Huya, say shalom aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael. Amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom, Bibrama, Huya, say shalom aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Ve'akol Bnei Adam. Ve'akol Yisrael. We take a few moments now to think about those in our families and our community in need of healing, both healing of body and healing of spirit. So we turn to the words of Misha Berach on page 133. This Shabbat, especially in our Solel community, we are thinking about Sue Norton, Jeff Copeland, Harvey Friedman, Wilf Walker, Shirley Herman, Esther Vuckenmark, Rick Valentine, Marlene Friedman, Jack Kudlatz, Suzanne Shear Stimson, Bernie McLennan, Harriet Lockman, Nicola Proetti, Eliyahu Ben Yitzhak Vasara, Rebecca Bogle, Parker Kaiko, Philip Shepard, Carl Katz, Nicole Hansen, Rena Rowan, Gilon Naruzzi, Madeline Kitson, Kathy Kitson, Dee Hickey, Lorraine DaCosta, Adela Tsur, Ann Steinbach, Evelyn Tyndall, Amanda Schenk, Daniel Black, Jean Elizabeth Pitt, Shmuel Ben Devorah, Pauline Portnoy, and Patty Bryce. And I invite you to share aloud or to hold in your heart names of those for whom you are praying on this Shabbat.
Naughty blessing, be with me.
We pray that God will bring them comfort and strength as we sing these words together. Our parsha this week is called Re'eh, and it begins with the word see. Re'eh, see, I set before you this day blessing and curse. Blessing if you obey the mitzvot, curse if you do not obey the mitzvot. And that really sets the stage for the lessons to be learned from this Torah reading. Our sense of sight can be a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, sight gives us access to what we think might be facts, or at least insights, and sometimes our sight can mislead us. When we sing or recite the words of Shema every day, we're told to listen with our ears or in sign to pay attention. And the words with part of Shema reminds us to not be led astray by our sense of sight. It says, Lo taturu achrei lavavchem v'achrei einechem. Similarly, Moses declares emphatically at the opening of this parsha, see, I set before you this blessing and this curse. So the Midrash in Tanchuma Re'eh tells us a story about a man who was sitting on a highway from which there branched two roads. And one of them, at the beginning, was full of thorns, but it was level at the end. The other one was level at the beginning, but full of thorns at the end. And so he sat at the fork in the road, and he cautioned those people passing by and said to them, even though the beginning of this road is full of thorns, you should follow it, because it will turn level in the end. And whoever heeded his warning and followed that road did have kind of a hard time at first, but eventually, as the text says, they went in peace and arrived in peace. But those who didn't listen and wanted to set out easily on the road they ended up having a very difficult time in the end. And so says the Midrash. This is what Moses was saying, who explicitly said to the Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, "Behold the way of life and the way of death, the blessing and curse. Choose life that you may live, you and your offspring." So the Midrash, first of all, compares Moses and the teaching of Torah to a guide for the path. And second, it reminds us that God gives us free will to decide which path we're going to travel. Blessings and curses presented in this parsha are presented as choices. And instead of beginning with the word Shema, to listen or to pay attention, as you might expect at the beginning of a set of instructions, instead the portion begins Re, see. The rabbi said, well, this is because each individual person has to see for himself or herself and decide whether or not they're going to follow the path that's set before them. But of course, they're being urged to choose blessing and therefore to follow the mitzvot. And this midrash also compares, interestingly enough, following Torah to treading kind of a thorny path. What are the rabbis trying to tell us here? Well, it's interesting because you might think that this is to turn people away from study and the observance of mitzvot. If it's a thorny path, why would you want to tread down that path? But the rabbis say at the essence, what we're trying to teach is that the path to God, the search for spirituality, the essence of Torah, is one that isn't immediately grasped. You can't, master it right away. It's not the easiest. It may not look beautiful at the beginning. You can't reap the rewards or the treasures of the tradition without a lot of patience and diligence and study and trust and faith and courage. My teacher, Rabbi Larry Hoffman, has written a commentary on this portion, and he points out that really in it, although it seems that Moses is speaking to the collective whole of all of us, that it's God speaking to each one of us individually. And so he says you need to address issues on a regular basis and think for a moment about that word see. Do we open our eyes and see the choices before us as an opportunity to make a difference in the world? Or do we not really see? Do we not see the choices that we have? Do we not see the opportunities that are before us? Or do we see those and then decide to ignore them? Although we make choices every day, things often occur in which we have no choice. But we do have a choice as to how we see them and how we respond. And there's another story that he tells. A story of a man who acquires a beautiful horse. All his neighbors tell him how lucky he was to have gotten such a wonderful possession, and they say, what a blessing has come to you. And he responds to them and he says, what seems like a blessing may indeed be a curse. And his neighbors look at him and they don't understand what he's talking about. One morning, not long after, the man wakes up and he finds that his beautiful horse has disappeared. And so his neighbors go to console him on his loss. And he says, what seems like a curse might be a blessing. Again, they seem very puzzled by his statement. After a while, the horse returned. And the horse brought with an entire herd of beautiful horses that were following. And his neighbors congratulated him again on good luck and said, once again, he replies to them, what seems like a blessing might be a curse. And unfortunately, his son was thrown from the back of one of the horses and broke his leg. When the neighbors came to support him and commiserate, he said, what seems like a curse might be a blessing. Soon afterwards, all the young men in this village were conscripted to fight in the war, except this man's son who couldn't go because of his broken leg. And so what seems like a curse might be a blessing. It's all in how you see. It's in your perspective. How many of us ever see the choice as an opportunity to seize the moment, to find the blessings in each day? And on the other hand, how often do we look at the choices before us as a problem? What seems like a blessing might be a curse. What seems like a curse might be a blessing. It is in the way that we see it, and not only that, how we work towards it, what we do, even if the path seems a bit thorny. Now, this parsha is always read at the beginning of the month of Elul, which we are embarking on. And Elul is the month that immediately precedes the High Holy Days. And it's traditional for us to focus during this month as we head into the new year, thinking about what we've done in the past year, how we've lived, how we've acted towards others, what our perspective has been, and deciding what changes we want to make in the year to come. So as we take our time during the month of Elul to prepare for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that greatest blessing that we have is our ability to choose what we do, how we live, how we react when we see things. And if we take this time to appreciate the blessings around us, we'll be reminded to choose to act in ways that are blessings, to follow mitzvot, to follow a path that even when it's challenging, we ultimately understand to be a path of blessing. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to the words of the Aleinu prayer on page 149. The Aleinu, as we rise, we pray for the day when the world will be one and at peace. Aleinu l'shabbat Adon hakol, atei gdula yotzei bereshit, asher samcha ken liachid et shemo, v'gor aleinu lehamlich malchuto, v'ya'avnu kolim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yosei haaretz, u'moshav mikaro v'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinotu zo, u'shchinotu zo, b'govei Eloni, hu Eloheinu Eino, Eloheinu lechesumato, kavratu b'torato, b'yadat hayom, v'ashrota el levavecha, Hi Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim nim'ah, v'ya'aretz mitachat eino. V'ne'emar Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, vayom lahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo Page 153. My father bequeathed me no wide estates, no keys and ledgers were my heritage, only some holy books with yahrzeit dates writ mournfully upon a blank front page. The snuff left on this page, now brown and old, the tallow stains of midnight liturgy. These are my coat of arms, and these unfold my noble lineage, my proud ancestry. And my tears too have stained this heirloomed ground, and when reading in these treatises some weird miracle, I turned a leaf and found a white hair fallen from my father's beard. At this time our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and all those people whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We are very sad at this time to announce the passing of Alexandra Sitsias, the sister of Georgia Feynman, and of Evan, the daughter of Demetra, sister-in-law of Daniel Feynman, and the aunt of Joshua and Aaron. A visitation and funeral arrangements were sent by email, or contact the office for more information. We recall as well the following, whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week. Karl Bardikoff, the father of Cheryl Englander and the father-in-law of Rabbi Larry Englander. Esther Hamadani, the mother of Judith Tamari. Aaron Joseph Tarek, the son of Morris and Linda, and the brother of Alicia. Randy Bundin, the brother-in-law of Pat Tavis. Vital Ben Ruby, the husband of Yvonne and the father of Andre and Michael. John Travis, the husband of Patty Bryce. Jerry Bubrick, the uncle of Phil Subeck. Edith Subeck, the grandmother of Phil Subeck. Frank Kaplan, my grandfather. Louis Pagrick, the father of Bram. Jacob Silverberg, the uncle of R.J. Vandersloos. Lily Burr, the mother and mother-in-law of Robin and Sharon Burr. Saul Laredo, the mother of Albert. Jack Etkin, the father of Maureen Edelman. Peter Fleischman, the husband of Helene and the father of Gary and Linda. And if you are saying Kaddish for someone whose name I have not mentioned, I invite you to share their name aloud at this time, or to hold their name in your heart. We ask those who are mourning to please rise first. As we say to Min Hamakom Tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. As a community, we now rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. Page 159. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei t'chol Beit Yisrael, Va'agala u'vizman karim v'imru ameh. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'alam olamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kedusha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Shushvachata v'nechemata, Damiran me'alma v'imru ameh. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru ameh. Osei shalom b'mrama, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol b'nei Adam, v'imru ameh. May the source of peace and peace to all those who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all the people of Israel, and among all the nations and families of earth. We say it together. Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure at this time to call upon Rita Halpern Grossman, representing our board, to bring greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
First of all, I'd like to thank Emma Weisenbluth, our tech volunteer tonight, and Isaiah Wong-Ken, our shamus for this evening. Upcoming services on Saturday, tomorrow, August 27th at 10 a.m. is a regular Shabbat service. Next Friday, September 2nd, September already, is a regular Erev Shabbat service, and on Saturday, September the 3rd, is a regular Shabbat service at 10 a.m. Just a couple of things that have begun again. Thursday lunch with Rabbi Pollack has resumed at 12 noon. As well, Tuesday morning minions will resume on Tuesday, September 13th at 7 a.m. Come join us for a brief service and a wonderful community breakfast. And you can call Arlene or Carol for any questions that you might have. And of course, the High Holidays are coming. And check out Solel's High Holidays page on our website. And if you already haven't made your financial arrangements, please check your email, your bulk mail, your junk mail. Check your spouse's mail, your partner's mail. Pledge forms were emailed to members in June from the Solel bookkeeper mailbox. If you cannot find it, please contact the office. And for other current activities, updates, and announcements, take a look at the Solel Facebook, Solel Twitter, and Instagram accounts, and also our website. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rita. We want to wish Mazel Tov as well to a couple members in our congregation who have had some simchas this week. Mazel Tov to John and Brenda Lucen and their family on the birth of a granddaughter, Raphael, born to Simon and Laurence. And Mazel Tov to Chris Butler and Robin Botnick and family, as well as Bubby Arlene Botnick on the engagement of Jenny to Craig. So Mazel Tov to the families. We're looking forward to many more simchas here in our congregation. And we're going to conclude with Kiddush for Erev Shabbat, which is going to be led by Dave Grossman, page 163. Please rise and join with him.
Vayi Erev, Vayi Boker, Yom HaShishi. Now the whole universe, sky, earth, and all their array was complete. At the seventh day, God had ended the work of creation and rested with all work complete. Then God blessed the seventh day and called it holy. With this day, God had completed the work of creation. Together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'ri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'yahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh b'reshit, kilu yom tehillah, l'mikra'ei kodesh, zeichen yetziat mitzrayim, ki banu b'charata, v'yotanu ki dashta, mikol ha'amin, v'shabbat kodeshecha, v'yahava u'ratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat.
L'chaim. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please come and join us in the social hall. Sorry, not the social hall, in the Kiddush room. Now that we've moved things around for Oneg Shabbat, and those of you at home, we wish you Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.